You know, I'm a huge fan of YouTube. More specifically, I'm a huge fan of the YouTube music community because, quite frankly, it allows musicians to connect to one another and for us to share our music with the world, and that's a great thing. Of course, part of that music community on YouTube also consists of shills. And the shills are the ones who are paid to advertise certain products to encourage you to buy said products. And typically that takes the form of product reviews, where a certain individual is paid to review a guitar or an amplifier or a pedal or what have you, to tell you how great it is, to show you its features, and to encourage you to buy that product. And while I'm not the biggest fan of that kind of shilling per se, I certainly understand that people need to make a living. And that for some creators on YouTube, that's how they make their dough. But in the past couple of days, I've noticed a new kind of shilling that is debuting on YouTube. And the new kind of game that these folks are running is tariff shilling. And by tariff shills, I don't mean people who are critical of tariffs. I'm talking about people who are telling lies that are so over the top ridiculous that they can be proven false in less than 30 seconds. People saying things like your Squire's going to cost you $5,000, that these tariffs are forever, they're never going to end, that there will be no more manufacturing in foreign countries, and that these foreign countries will never, ever renegotiate trade deals with the U.S. ever again. In short, it's hysterical, fear-based crap. And my first reaction to that was, well, these people are just opponents of the president. They have been politicized. They have let their political viewpoints overtake their sanity. They have let their politics overtake their common sense. But upon further reflection, I think there's something a lot more sinister happening right now. Because I don't think the folks who have such deranged takes on the tariffs are politicized at all. No, I think it's much worse than that. I think these folks are shills of the music corporations, and that they are being paid directly or indirectly by music manufacturers, by music corporations, to shill against the tariffs. And the reason I say that is not because I have a certain political viewpoint one way or the other, because I'm not convinced that the tariffs are going to work, at least not yet. But when I see lies that are so over the top, that are so easily proven to be falsehoods, it becomes easy to see that this is going way beyond personal politics. When you hear of outrageous claims like this is the end of all foreign manufacturing, that your Squire is going to cost you $5,000 or $10,000, that no country will ever trade with America again, stuff that can be easily proven false, then you know something's up. And I think that something is shilling. I believe that some of the musicians on YouTube and some members of the music community on YouTube are being paid by musical instrument companies to shill as hard as they can against these tariffs. Why is that? Well, because in the short term, it is possible that a lot of these companies that rely upon overseas manufacturing are going to take a hit. They're going to take a haircut. And these massive corporations don't want to do that. In fact, that's why they moved most of their manufacturing overseas in the first place, to cut the bottom line and to increase their profit margin. And these tariffs are a threat to their profit margin. And that's why some of these YouTube creators have stopped trying to sell you guitars or amps or pedals and are now trying to sell you against the tariffs. Now, normally, if this is just a political opinion that someone has, I wouldn't care. Because quite frankly, people have the right to say whatever they want. They can express whatever political opinion they wish. What's disgusting, though, at least disgusting to me, is the idea of someone taking money from a music corporation in order to shill for them in the political arena and pass it off as legitimate commentary. Or even worse, to pass it off as some sort of altruistic, I'm just looking out for you type of thing. It is disgusting to the extreme. So do me a favor, if you're in the YouTube music community, take a look at these new shill videos about the tariffs. And again, I'm not talking about people who have an opinion about tariffs one way or the other, but I'm talking about the tariff videos that are so far over the top that they're so easily disproven as BS. Take a look at that. And I think you'll see how likely it is that these kinds of messages aren't coming from individual creators. These over-the-top anti-tariff videos are actually being spewed by the musical corporations themselves. Because at the end of the day, their profit margins are at risk. And so now they've decided to use their shills not to sell individual instruments, but instead to sell the music corporation's viewpoint on the tariffs themselves. And to me, there's little that is more disgusting than that. In any case, this is Kevin from Rebels and Stars saying God bless you, and I will talk to you later. Bye.